Hello, my name is Molly Smith, and I teach your students American History College Prep class for 10th grade. And I just wanted to introduce myself and give you some information about the class. Feel free at any point if you have questions to email me, and I can kind of go into some of this stuff in a little bit more depth. All right, so just to kind of introduce myself, I have been at Ipswich now for 20 years. I have two students in the Ipswich school system in middle school and at Winthrop. Originally, I'm from New Jersey, and I came up to Massachusetts for college and have just stayed here, gotten married and have children, and now live in Ipswich as well. So in terms of the requirement for this class, it's a little bit different. Normally I tell the kids to have a 3-ring binder. This year, it's really the major thing they need to have every day is their Chromebook charged. And it's helpful to have headphones, even though I do have some that they can borrow if they need to. Things do look a little bit differently this year, as I've told the students. We have to speak up because of the masks, stay in their assigned seats. Just be patient with the teachers because sometimes the technology takes a little bit of time to get used to. And then, clearly we follow all of the school's guidelines in terms of sanitation and things like that. For our schedule, just the structure, the way that the class is structured. If the students are in the room, there are, several students who are at home all the time. But I do have a schedule written up on the board for the week, so they kind of know what's coming. But then because not everyone's in the class, obviously, all the time, I always have projected up on the board and shared with the students at home kind of the schedule for the day that gives them all the information about what we're going to be doing, what the homework is, so they kind of know right off the bat what they should be doing. For grading here, any homework or classwork is worth 4 points. I do accept homework one day late for half credit, and that's just to keep kids from really falling way behind. So we stick to that policy strictly. We don't have any quizzes. We just have tests for every unit. And at the beginning of every unit, we give them a handout that kind of has the breakdown of what we're going to be covering, what terms are important, vocabulary, events. So right at the beginning of every unit, they already kind of have a review sheet, so they can sort of get started on what they need to know. And then at the end of the unit, we give them a more in-depth review sheet as well. A big part of their grade this year, because of the unique circumstances, would include classwork and engagement. So that's basically every day they have something that they're working on in class that is checked by us, graded on both content and then effort and participation and being engaged in class. And that also, as you see on the screen there, includes, being on camera and not texting and participating, all of those kinds of things. This year, again, it's a little bit unique. We have kind of upped our policy and communication with parents about economic dishonesty. Obviously it's a little bit harder because everything is online. So we've kind of seen an uptick in plagiarism and copying. So I've gone over with the students what the policies are and et cetera, what it means to actually copy. So we've kind of gone over that a lot more. It's also in their syllabus as well. And then in terms of the norms for kind of Zooming, make sure you're on time, you're dressed, your camera's on, you use the chat appropriately, participate, focus on what's happening and not what's going on around you. In terms of my contact information, you can call the school, but very often when we're not teaching, we're not in our classroom because someone else would be teaching in here. So the easiest and quickest way to communicate with me is through email. I'm just pointing out, because I'm not the only M. Smith in the Ipswich School District, my email is M.O. Smith or Mo Smith, just to make sure that you're reaching the right Smith. In terms of kind of the story of the content that we're teaching, I always tell the kids it's sort of like a story. So we are starting with a little bit of a review of the Constitution, which is what they did in 8th grade. And then right now where we are is kind of getting into those early presidents and the government going through some growing pains. Eventually we'll move up to the Civil War, kind of testing our unity. Then America kind of reuniting after the Civil War, rebuilding, modernizing, becoming industrialized, and then eventually going through World War I and the 1920s. So that way their freshman and sophomore year both end at the exact same point. And then junior year, they're going to take a modern history class that's a blend of American and world history. That's the way that we've kind of designed it for them. So these are the units that we'll be going through here. We do have a textbook that the students use, the Americans textbook. We don't use it in class ever. So I tell them to keep it at home or wherever it is that they do their homework. That's the only time we'll ever use it is for homework. But again, feel free to reach out to me with questions or concerns. I try and keep Aspen updated quickly so that you'll know if a student is kind of falling behind or going through anything. But do not hesitate, again, to email me. And I am enjoying getting to know your students. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.